Welcome back to the final whistle then for another match preview on the channel, and tonight we are going to look ahead to Birmingham City versus Leicester City. As Leicester head to the West Midlands to take on Birmingham at St Andrews. Could this one be another one where we bloody watch it through our fingers, or will Leicester City actually turn up, and will the new January transfers have a significant say on Leicester City's change of fortune? So we're going to discuss the game with my good mate Sam Sheppey, and let's see who's in the comments then. Caleb, how are we, mate? Hope you're well. Paul, hello. Yet another game I can't see going well. Well, Birmingham are on form going into this game, by the way, Paul. I'm sorry to say. Leicester, on the other hand, it's a trajectory of looking downwards rather than upwards, the significance of what can happen with the points deduction and that. And yeah, we don't know where we stand, do we? But Harvey, how are we, mate? Hope you're well. Terry, how are we, mate? Hope you're good. Everyone hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. It'll help me out massively. We'll set the like target tonight at 60 likes. Normally we have a match preview on a Thursday, but we've agreed to Sam to do tonight, so it brings in the content and all that for you guys to enjoy. So let's get my guest in, Sam Sheppey. Sam, how are we, mate?
Yeah, all good, thank you. And I mean, based on the preview and the prediction that I gave on my channel, you're not exactly set in Leicester at the moment, are you?
It's not set in stone, is it, mate? You know, it's I'd say you lot are having a far better season than Leicester City are. What you guys see in this game? Let's have a look at the tables. You lot are sitting 13th. Leicester sits 17th. There's a 4-point gap between the two sides. Obviously, last time we played each other, we obviously Leicester getting the upper hand on Birmingham, but a lot's happened since. There's sides that can keep clean sheets and some sides can't. So there we go. We're very much not got our blue tinted glasses on tonight, Sam. I think we're going to speak very much from the heart and just basically be honest of how the club is at the minute and how we go into the game on Saturday. Sam, where can everyone find you, mate? What do you do regarding Birmingham City?
So I make match previews on my channel, speaking to people like yourself for every fixture, just getting the opposition lowdown and also some reaction in there as well based on what's happened per week. And with the transfer window just closing, there's been some content that I've uploaded regarding talking about transfers and also a 150th anniversary edition kit, which is a lovely penguin kit in tribute to our team of the 70s. And yeah, that's gone down very well with the Blues fans, and the fact that we can just speak about that and speak about things positive at Birmingham.
Lovely. Jordan James recovering well ahead of schedule. Has also been treated in France, also been between being at Seagrave as well. We'll find out more next Tuesday. Lovely stuff. Bit of positivity there. I'm excited to see what King does when he has 11 players on the pitch. We did the double over Derby, so why not over Birmingham? Farting talk, Terry. I like that, mate. Sam, talk to me about Blues. How did the January transfer window go, mate? How did you sort of go with strengthening?
It was a very busy January window. And I suppose the biggest thing for us this window was who we offloaded, because we went into the season thinking that we were prepared for the Championship based on what we'd done in League One. But I feel like the jump to the Championship did take us a bit by surprise at the start. And we thought, oh, okay, this isn't going to be as easy as what probably most of the fans are thinking. So from the team that faced Leicester at the start of the season, I think more than half of the starting 11's changed, whether that be down to injuries or just general transfers. You know, there's been a lot of movement within Birmingham. And I suppose the January transfer window, the players that we brought in, we were busy because we spent around 15 million. So like splashing the cash. And the two notable signings that jump out for me is August Priska, who we signed striker for around £6 million coming from Sweden, was the Golden Boot winner there at Jugan last season, and also Vincente, a winger that we signed from Spain from Alaves for around 6 million. So we're spending money on players that are hopefully going to get us goals, because I feel like this season in the attacking department, there's been a lot of reliance on Stansfield to perform. And at the moment, he's been on a bit of a goal drought. It's been, 12 or 13 games without a goal. So we've had to then share it around. And thankfully, the team's managed to step up in the last few games. But I feel like that's because of newfound stability in defence, and also other people attacking wise stepping up to the plate, especially the new signings.
Yeah, Paul's on about to use Sam. Seen some of them Penguin shirts going for £500 plus on eBay. Is it a limited edition?
It is a limited edition. There's only a few in stock because there was a window open for season ticket holders to buy them. But what they done was they allowed 4 orders per person. So people have just bought in bulk and then looking to sell them on for more, which really isn't on. Fans that have a season ticket should be able to buy their shirt, but then leave room for everybody else. So that's upset a lot of Blues fans. But I'm sure that over the coming months there'll be more editions of that shirt released, and hopefully everyone that wants one can get one.
Leicester's January transfer window, we brought 4 in. We brought Joe Aribo in from Southampton. Obviously, Southampton have a lot of opinion on Joe Aribo. Quite bad sort of comments on him with how bad he is, but you only judge what you see with your own eyes, like I said to you on your channel, Sam. We did bring in Mikasa from Manchester City, highly rated talent. And when Pep Guardiola talks highly about players, you listen and basically you take a lot of interest in these types of players. So he's an attacking midfielder, which is, we've got quite a few of at the football club, but I think he'll be one to be hungry and fight for his place and want to play. Then we signed Duan Richards from Chelsea, 20-year-old Jamaican international. He's played 14 for Jamaica, hasn't featured for Chelsea's first team yet. I believe Chelsea have got an extension on his contract because his contract runs out in the summer, but Chelsea have got an extension if they obviously want to keep him for an extra year. So Duan Richards is a striker. Leicester City have been crying out for a striker. Sam, I said it to you on your channel about Leicester are non-existent up front. We've got Ayew and Daka, and none of them look fit for purpose to scoring goals for the club. We look far more defensively, shall I put it, because we just haven't got nothing up front. And then we signed, who else have we signed so far? Rebo, Mikasa, Richards, and Rebo. No, that's it. All 4, yeah. But no, I'm kind of. I think with Leicester's transfer window, with the case that we have to, I think it's the case that we're filled in gaps. Basically, I think we should have gone more of a proven striker. We needed a new left back because Thomas and Christensen aren't good enough for the left back position. But we need to see how this season pans out now. Going forward, could it be a more positive sign of bringing these players in to help the team? Because at this minute in time, we're looking downwards rather than upwards as a football club, and we with a points deduction could come this season. It could be the start of next season. There's no one to know when this points deduction is going to come. We're supposed to be at something in December, then in the start of January. We're bloody in February, for God's sake. So they need to hurry this up. But it's a trajectory of if between 9 and 12 points, you're in a relegation battle, aren't you, with the likes of Oxford and that down there. So I think the main aim for Leicester at this minute in time, Sam, is staying in the league. Because, we can't afford to go down to bloody League One. But it's been, let's just say it's been a depressing season. We've been too easy to play against. I think everyone will always say it's a game where it's the best time to play Leicester City, and it's proven it for Charlton and Oxford. If they're up for the fight and Leicester City aren't, we just get walked all over. So what's your sort of feature on Leicester, Sam? Because you wasn't quite sure where to input in Leicester at the start of the season when we obviously did the predictions and that together. What's your sort of take on where you predicted us to finish to where we are now as a club? Is it a massive shock to you?
So at the start of the season, I put Leicester to just about finishing the playoffs in 6th, and actually put Birmingham in 7th. So I thought that we'd finish outside of the top 6 this season, which amongst Blues fans was a bit of a hot take because everyone was so confident going into the season. But I think people say this season that the Championship's weaker than what it usually is. And I do agree to an extent, but the Championship's always going to be the Championship. You're always going to get those games where the teams can just sort of roll you over, and I feel like anybody can beat anybody on their day. So I feel like the Championship this season has thrown up a lot of surprises, and Leicester being one of the biggest ones in regards to where they are in the league at the moment. And I feel like it's because other teams in the Championship are more established and they just have their way of playing, whereas I feel like Leicester this season it took a long time just to figure that out. And with Cifuentes, and his philosophy, I feel like it's differed from a lot of the Leicester managers in the past, whereas like them ones have been, so like Maresca had a different way of looking at things as opposed to Cifuentes. And I feel like it wasn't really the right match for the right club. It was an appointment which was nice because of what he'd done at QPR, but I feel like for Leicester and what you guys want, it never quite was a match. Kind of what I feel like with Thomas Frank and Tottenham, where certain managers just don't fit certain clubs. And I feel like that's the impression that I got with Cifuentes and Leicester. But I feel like this season you guys have certainly quality players in your side, like Fatawu, as you said, being linked to a Premier League move in the January window. Jordan James, Blues fans know what he can bring to the table. But it's just been a matter of finding the right system to suit them players. And because of that, that's where you guys are in the league. You just haven't really found it.
Yeah, sorry, I've got to add a transfer signing on. Jamal Lascelles from Newcastle. Leadership, you know what you're going to get from him. He's going to run for a brick wall for you. From Newcastle, it will Championship to Champions League. So he was a true and utter respect he had at Newcastle. Lascelles, big, powerful defender. Obviously, he has struggled with injuries, but I'm hoping he can bring that experience to the club. He's a no-nonsense defender, someone who will tell you is it needs to be when you're not doing the right things or in the position you need to be. So I think bringing Lascelles in, we need a leader. We haven't got one. So I'm hoping he will lead by example. Because to be a captain, you don't just need the armband, to be fair. You can just do it anyway. So that's what I'm hoping Lascelles brings. So, yeah, sorry I did leave off Lascelles. I'd sort of thought I'd left one off. Yeah, Lascelles was one. What's your thoughts on Lascelles?
It's like the pre-match league predictions, Jack, when you left the team out and you're trying to figure out who it was.
Yeah, trying to figure it out. Yeah, that's it. I just try and leave Leicester out because I'm not sure where they're going to finish. What's your thoughts on the signings for Leicester, Sam?
I feel like the Lascelles signing is what you need. Certainly a bit of experience, someone that's going to galvanise you guys. I know there's question marks about the minutes that he's got in Newcastle, the fact that he hasn't played a whole lot of football. But I feel like in the Championship, because he's an experienced pro, he'd be able to fit straight in the side, a bit like what happened with Birmingham and Jack Robinson, because we were struggling at the back and we rotated a bit and then we just kind of stumbled upon Jack Robinson as a centre-back next to Clara. And then short-term, that kind of worked for us to get us back on track. So I feel like that's something that could happen with Leicester. And as with Aribo, I do have my question marks about him because I suppose he wasn't used really at all by Will Still at Southampton. He's frozen out during pre-season, and he'll be eager to play some minutes at Leicester, and that's what he'll get. But it may take a bit longer for him to get moving, especially in that midfield area because of the injuries that you guys have got there, and just finding a settled partner with him that could cause some problems. But with Mikasa and Richards going forward, I think they'll work out for Leicester because you need something a bit young, a bit exciting up front, because I feel like things got a bit stale with Ayew up front. And I know the fans have been very angry towards him and just frustrated, and especially that penalty miss against Charlton. Yeah, I feel like that kind of sums up the season that he's had, really. So the fact that you've got something new and fresh up front will help you out in the future.
Yeah, the sales could be a Wes Morgan if keeps fit, and I agree. That's what we need. Ricardo's just not your leader. Lascelles can be. Lascelles is only here on a short-term deal. Newcastle fans speak highly of Jamal Lascelles, and you can see in the 12 years what he's done for that football club. He's turned it in from real shit days of getting relegated, being in the Championship, to getting Champions League and pocketing bloody Kylian Mbappe for all bloody players. So Cifuentes didn't fit QPR either. Yeah, Cifuentes was not the right fit at Leicester City. He spoke about his philosophy to dominate and all that, and it never worked out to what it was. But then you've got to have the squad to play that style of football. You've got to have a squad who's willing to play for the manager and do what they're being asked to do. And this squad just wasn't. I do think he was too soft. I just think he was a manager who very much played with one hand behind his back. He wasn't backed at all, to be honest, in what he can bring in, because as a manager, you like to spend money, don't you? To bring in the right players for the right areas and that, and he couldn't. He obviously brought in Jordan James, Ramsey, Carranza that summer. And then obviously this summer, this January transfer window, it's been loans again and a short-term deal for Jamal Lascelles on a permanent. So it's difficult because PSR has been a massive problem for Leicester City, and we've got ourselves in this mess due to due diligence of not doing our jobs properly, handing out big contracts, big wages, incompetence, mismanagement and all that. I just feel the club's been neglected. And like I said to you, Sam, about Marty was not the right fit for Leicester at all. We needed somebody strong-minded to go in the job. Someone like a Sean Dyche, Chris Wilder, someone who's not going to let them players get away with anything, who's going to make them run the yards and do the hard work and earn their places in the squad and get the results. And I just feel they walked all over Marty, to be honest, like they did with Ruud van Nistelrooy, like they did with Steve Cooper. Since Enzo, the squad's just not been what I'd expected, to be fair. I'm hoping the young lads now who have come in, like you talk about Macassar and Richards, that they can bring a bit more excitement, a bit more positivity in the team. Richard says about scoring goals, bags of goals. He talks like he's a bags man, innit, basically. You just leave him to it and he knows where the net is. So I'm very much on it. No idea. Yeah, exactly. But this is where I say, Sam Riv, neglect of Leicester City is we're having to restructure the club now. A new technical director, new CEO and all that is what I mentioned to you on your channel. If we did the right things and didn't take our eye off the ball and carried on doing the due diligence right and all that, we wouldn't have to change anything if we didn't neglect anything. So if we did our jobs properly, we won't be in this position, but we are, because we've just basically took a complete different path, and these people who have caused these issues have not been held accountable for these things. So I just think, to be fair, PSR, it's a massive one in the game, and it's Sam. I don't know what your thoughts are on PSR. Obviously, Birmingham are not in any PSR problems, are they? As a football club, your owner's running it properly, bringing in the right players. You brought in obviously the right manager as well in Chris Davis, who you can say in the last few months has been under pressure at times, but then seems to then flick the page over and get them few wins together again. So what is your thoughts, Sam, on the whole PSR situations and that, and how football clubs sort of go under that criteria?
So I can sympathise with you guys, because Birmingham fell to a points deduction because of PSR. 2018-19 season, where we had Gary Monk as the manager, we were deducted 9 points initially for PSR, and then a further 3 points because we signed Christian Pedersen, where we should have been under embargo. So we got deducted 12 points, and I think that was in early March of the season. And we wanted to lose every game in the month. So we went from chasing the top six right down to a relegation scrap. And so we just got thrown straight into it. But thankfully, we had the characters and the performances on the pitch and the tactical nous of Gary Monk to be able to get us out of trouble that season and finish comfortably above relegation. But it can certainly flip your whole season when you do have a points deduction suddenly like that, especially if you're a team not performing well anyway. But I feel like with Birmingham that season that we were putting in decent performances, and we were, had a good squad. We had Che Adams and Lucas Jukovic up front, which formed like a great partnership. We just played a very basic 4-4-2 within the squad. I feel like with Leicester, you guys have still got a few barriers to go through, whether it be, finding the right style of play to suit your players, getting a manager in, and then sorting out the stuff that goes at boardroom level as well. But with Birmingham at boardroom level, we knew that before Nighthead and when it was Trillion Trophy Asia, just the amount of chaos that went on at that club. I think we're only scratching the surface with how Birmingham fans know about all this stuff, because Troy Deeney spoke on podcasts about what he experienced at the club when he went back there and just what a mess it was. And for someone that had been playing in the Premier League for a decade with Watford to then join his boyhood club Birmingham and see what had happened to us, the fact that we had to shut our entire stand because of asbestos in there, the failed promises regarding transfers, signing players just on frees and loans to stay above water in the Championship. It was a really tough time for Birmingham. And I feel like once you're in that mess, it can take quite a long time to get out of there and quite a few steps. But hopefully for your guys' sake, you can stay above water in the Championship and hopefully be able to generate that revenue and hopefully get the fans back on side with some changes at boardroom level and above.
Well, that's what needs to happen. But we haven't. We're keeping the same people in the jobs that they probably shouldn't be in right now. But Someone said to me, a journalist, the other month, about things are going to get worse for Leicester City before they get better. You've just got to ride the storm. But then, how bad is it going to get before it gets better? Where are you going to be by the time this bad situation's ended? And if that's League One, then you're back to where you was bloody in 2008, when Leicester were in League One. We don't have a style of football and haven't for a long time now. Yeah, it's true. Everyone likes to play the Pep Guardiola way, don't they, Sam? It's robotic football. It's sideways and backwards. You boys have known to it as well at Watford away this season, where you sang about it going backwards and sideways and all that. It's not the prettiest of football, is it? But maybe it can be effective when it does work, if you've got the right squad and the right sort of tactics to get it working. But if you haven't got this squad like with us at the minute, I don't think we've got that squad to sort of work at it. We did under Enzo, but it hasn't worked under anybody else, to be fair. We've just played different styles of football. I just think we haven't got a squad which has that fight, you know, that commitment, that hunger in the bellies to get us going. And this is why we've faltered in the league this season, because we've not been up for it as much as other teams have. This is why I think when you look at Birmingham at the weekend, they're going to be well up for it. If they get the first goal, they're going to think, well, Leicester are going to crumble it. They have every other time, so we're in with a chance. But I'm hoping Lascelles brings that stability to sort of fix things that needed to be fixing quite quickly, but it takes time for things to fix, doesn't it? When you are a leader and you go into a team and you're thinking, well, what needs to be done here? What you've got to talk about the mentality first, don't you? And how to get them on the right track in going to approach the games in the right manner. Because it seems like every time we cross the white line at the KP or away games, the plan's gone out the window.
Because I would just add on to that, like a couple of seasons ago when we got relegated, we had about 5 different styles of play within the season, because you started off with Eustace with that sort of hard to beat mentality and not caring too much about having possession and being really direct. And then you had Wayne Rooney, which was just a mess from top to bottom. And then you had Tony Mowbray, who had that sort of expansive nature of football, but also the tactical awareness to change things when needed. But then obviously you had to step away through health issues. And we had Mark Venus, who was his assistant, then take charge, didn't quite implement it the same way. And then you had Gary Rowett for the final month and a half. And again, that was just kind of firefighter stuff where just do what you can with the current squad. But unfortunately for us, it was too late.
Sam, Leicester City are managerless. We haven't got a manager. We've got an interim manager and Andy King at the minute until we bring in a new manager. One thing I want to ask you is, because one name's come up, Gary Rowett, right? I know he's not the most favourable in Birmingham City. But he did all right as a player, but then we talk about him as a manager and his style of football and all that. And Birmingham fans are very negative when you talk about Gary Rowett's boring, drawing manager, as you like to call him as Blues fans. Talk to me about Gary Rowett. Leicester fans are not keen. What can you sort of tell us on Gary Rowett? Because he has been linked with a Leicester job, by the way. We're not going to hide here and say that he probably has been in talks with Leicester over the manager vacancy. But what's Birmingham's fans' stance on Gary Rowett?
I must admit, I do like Gary Rowett. Like,
right?
I think the fans are, because what happened with the second time that he became manager a couple of seasons ago is that it was too late. Like, if we would have got Rowett in 2 or 3 matches before we did, I feel like we would have stayed up. And where the criticism comes from his football is that very often he'll be comfortable with just having a point. He won't then go and get the 3 points. And that's what cost us when we got relegated, because we were down the bottom with Huddersfield and Rotherham. And we played them actually in our third and second last game of the season. We drew both and we got relegated, which meant that our win on the final day didn't matter because the points had already been settled, unfortunately. But with the first in charge, he was excellent. He never should have been sacked when he was. It was because of the ownership then that came in, got in a big name instead, Joe Franco Zola, and we plummeted down the table. But the side that Rowett built up when we were under financial restrictions was amazing, because you had each player there, dying for the club, essentially, like running into brick walls and doing all that they could to get points. And they weren't the prettiest on the eye to watch. And it was direct football. And at times it was boring football, but it got us points. And I feel like at the time that Rowett initially got sacked in 2016, we were really building towards something. So my opinion on Rowett is one that is good. And if Leicester are to go out and get him to try and keep you guys in the league, I'm pretty confident he will do, but it's about what comes after, the following season. If you still have restrictions, will he be able to recruit the people that he wants, and be the people that are really going to commit to Leicester? Because you said there about, getting some people off the books and people that weren't working hard enough for Leicester, and people that perhaps on high wages that weren't doing their job for the team. I feel like Rowett's a good enough manager to identify what you need in order to stay in the division, but what he wants long term and whether that suits Leicester or not, I don't know.
Yeah, we obviously need a manager to keep us in the Championship. But it's who? Obviously, we've been linked with bloody quite a lot of managers: Russell Martin, Chris Coleman, Gary Rowett. There's been a fair few. Even Enzo Maresca's been linked in the last couple of days or so.
I saw where he was on the odds. I thought, wow, that'd be a great appointment.
That just shows that we haven't got a clue who we want as manager. We're not doing our due diligence in linking up together to know exactly who we want is the final say. So more about not who we want, it's who will want to come to us. It's a fair point, isn't it, Sam? When you look at Leicester's situation at this minute in time, which manager will want to take the club? It's a fair assessment, isn't it, if you look at it both ways?
Because I feel like with Leicester in the situation you guys are in at the moment, I feel like the number one priority is maintaining this Championship status, and not necessarily because of the point drawn at the moment, but because of what could happen with the points deduction. So that's something that's looming over Leicester and what some managers may consider when looking at the Leicester job. I feel like for a young manager to come in and start a project at this stage of Leicester, it may not be the most sensible thing, or it may not be realistic with what you guys have got to work with. But Leicester's a club certainly with so much potential. What you guys were up to in the Premier League, the fact that you won it, and the FA Cup and all that stuff. Leicester at its best is a fantastic club. So whoever walks into the job will hope that they can get them back to them glory days. But it's all about what the ownership facilitates and what they've got to work with.
Well, that's it. It's what the plan is, and with like the board and that, I don't know we ain't got a plan. So where do we get from A to B? Do you know what I mean? It's like, how do you even stay on a steady path if you don't know where you're going next, which corner to take? And I think this is where we are as a club. There's just no immediate plan to what the future holds for Leicester City. Have you put your CV in yet, Jack? No, I haven't. I haven't. I'll admit it. I've took myself out of the situation. I don't want it. It's too stressful for me. I get stressed as a fan. I won't want to as a manager. Get Neil Warnock in might be old, but grateful. Bloody yeah. If you talk about Neil Warnock with bloody Leicester City, mate. Some Leicester fans are not very nice towards Neil Warnock, especially what he said to us many years ago about when we was in administration and that. Yeah, no, thank you. Sam, let's talk about Birmingham versus Leicester. The two cities go again. We met early on in the season. Leicester managed to keep a clean sheet, by the way. Ricardo scored in that game. Fatawu scored in that game. Leicester, that was their best performance of the season, I'd say. We looked far more convincing. Blues came into that game maybe with the mentality of maybe we'll just get the win like that. Maybe that's how you set up, thinking, okay, then we're doing very well in the league. Maybe we can just beat teams. But then Leicester sort of brought you back down to earth, didn't they? In that game, beat you quite well. Took the fight to Birmingham and basically showed you that this is the Championship. So what's your sort of thinking this time round? Because you haven't beat us at St Andrews since 2011, I'm going to say, in October. I think it was 2-0 last time. That was the win. How do you think this one goes at St Andrews? Because I think you lot have lost only one game all season in the Championship. I think Hull City was the last time to beat you, am I right, in a 3-2 win? It's a tough place to go. And like I said to you going into this one, it could be one way I'm watching it through my fingers here because this is it's a difficult game. Birmingham are on form. I think you've only lost one in the last 8 going into this game in the league. So what's your sort of thinking going into this against, I'd say, a wounded Leicester City side, to be honest, a depleted one? Is it one that you'd be licking your lips and thinking, yeah, we've really got to take chance of this. This is the best time to play Leicester City?
Well, I feel like every game in the Championship does bring its difficulties, and I mean, even against Sheffield Wednesday, they hit the post before we went 1-0 up in that game. So like they came close to taking the lead, and I feel like with this game, I feel like the Leicester fans can see a better Birmingham in this game because, as I said earlier about the amount of changes within our squad, I think that more than half of the players that started for us that game against Leicester are not going to play in this one, whether it be down to the fact they've been sold, recalled by their parent clubs from loan, injuries. So there's a lot of change within the Birmingham squad. And what goes to show in that Leicester game is that our mistakes were just capitalised on, because there was a pass, wasn't there, between Paik and Led that I think Fatawi ran onto, intercepted, dribbled, and then just banged it in the top corner. And then you brought on Mongo as a substitute, and then he was doing all sorts of tricks down the wing, crossed in for Pereira, then he scored, and you guys won 2-0. So I feel like we're going to be wary of that we know that if we do make mistakes in key areas of the pitch, that you guys have the pace and power to be able to capitalise on it. And with the new January transfers coming into your squad, they'll straight away be wanting to prove a point. So they're going to be up for it and not necessarily shackled down by the doubts that the rest of the team may have, because they're the ones that have not been on this run of form. So I feel like that's something to look into. But the same can be said for Birmingham as well, because the players that we've introduced now from the January window, they're going to be full of confidence and they have a point to prove, because finally in the Birmingham squad, for the first time in some time, we have some competition for places, because in the winger position, for so long it was just Kumas and Roberts, because Gray was injured and we had no one else to play on the right wing. But now we've got Vincente, who's someone that has impressed straight away, got an assist on his debut against Oxford, and also Osman on the other wing, who he loaned out from Brighton, who's looked really lively to start off with. So we've got competition for places. I imagine St Andrews will be bouncing for it. And yeah, I feel like we're going to really try and attack you guys and get the first goal. And as you said earlier, I feel like the first goal is so important for this game, because I feel like if we get it, we're going to win. And if you guys get it, then it's going to be an uphill battle for us. And you guys are just going to sit back and try and soak up that pressure.
I think it's one of these where we've been conceding first the last couple of games now. So I would, if we concede early, we fall like a deck of cards, basically. I fear this game more than anything, because I know how good you guys are at home. We've got a difficult period now going into the next few games. We've got Middlesbrough coming up away, Stoke away, Southampton at home. Leicester City have got to find a way of getting points. Our team just doesn't look up for games. We're easy to play against, too predictable. We're always out of position. We've not got a goal scorer, and I'm hoping Dujan Richards can actually come in and change that. Do I think all four signings are going to start for Leicester at the weekend? I don't. I think some of them will be on the bench. I would start Dujan Richards up front, if I'm honest with you. I'd very much... I think he'll stick with the Reeds, the Mavridis, the Fatawus. The midfield with where Oliver Skipp comes back in. I think he will partner with Joe Aribo, I'd say. In the sort of defensive aspect, I'd put Ricardo at left back. I'd put Aluko at right back. Personally, the centre-back partnership of Nelson and Jamal Lascelles. I'd start Begovic in goal, if I'm honest. I don't think Stolarsk's been good enough this season. Yes, he's made a few big saves in games, but he's been more not convincing than good, to be fair. You guys sit 13th at the minute in the Championship. You rank third in the XG table. Leicester are ranked 22nd in the XG table, despite sitting 17th, by the way. So that shows how bad we are in scoring goals, in creating enough.
I don't know what that says about us, though, if we're third in XG and 13th in the league.
It shows that you lot are taking a lot more chances and a lot more risks than we are this season in scoring.
Half our XG, though, is probably Kyogo, and he's only scored one league goal this season.
This is where do you sort of see the battle? Because I said to Colin about the midfield. I think the midfield is where if you lose in that midfield battle, I think that's where the game's lost for me. What's your thoughts?
I'd say the most important part of the pitch is going to be the wings, because of what you said about the fullbacks, where you say that you don't think Christensen or Thomas are good enough.
No.
And if they start, that's somewhere that we could attack. And
let's exploit us easily. Yeah.
And with our all of a sudden now choice of wingers, we've got options to choose from in that area. And if you're not confident about your fullbacks, then that's somewhere we could exploit. So I feel like that's somewhere that could be key for us. But also what's key for Birmingham offensively with our fullbacks is that they do like to get quite far up the pitch. You know, Tomoki Iwata is someone that is naturally a centre midfielder, but because of what's happened with the squad this season with injuries, he's had to then slot in at right back. But it's actually been a bit of a revelation for us, because he picks up these great positions where he either overlaps Roberts to be able to then have Roberts drift inside, or he's able to just step in as a third midfielder, and then our shape just completely changes. So Iwata has been instrumental for us at fullback, but because of the positions that he does pick up, it leaves a bit of space in behind. So it's all about whether you guys have the incisiveness to pick out that key pass and exploit us as we push up the pitch.
Yeah, you won't see much attacking by Leicester, I'll be honest. We can't keep a clean sheet either. We've gone 24 games consecutively in the league without a clean sheet. So that shows how we can see goals every game like it's no one's business. When I mean we're so easy to play against, there's just lack of fight, lack of urgency about us, lack of getting close to closing down and winning that ball, winning them duels. We've not been able to do that. Oliver Skipp, when he's been in that midfield, I think he's done that. Jordan James has been a massive miss for Leicester. He's really been key and instrumental to us this season. Where would we be without him? He scored 9 league goals this season. He's our top scorer, and without him, I think we'd be closer to Sheffield Wednesday. So that shows how pivotal Jordan James has been. And I've always said with Abdul this season, he's been far too inconsistent for me. And I think with Abdul, he can't do what Jordan James can do, carry this Leicester team when it needs carrying on his back, turning up for the big games when we need him the most, then big moments. I think we've been very much a moments team this season where goals have just come out of nothing, basically. I don't feel we've dominated games. I think we've been quite poor. We've been too of how we've been playing. They don't think none of your young lads signings will start, probably bed them in over the next couple of games. The others experienced loanees more likely to jump starting straight away. Hello, Yardy, how are we, mate? Yeah, they definitely think that Jamal Lascelles will be at the back at the weekend for Leicester, but they're not quite sure on all the others apart from, I think maybe a Rebo being there. It depends. I think if we've got bloody Jordan Ayew up front, we'll be playing with 10 men again, because Jordan Ayew, I think that penalty miss against Charlton summed our season up of how poor we've been. We just look careless, Sam. You know what I mean? It just look. Do you know, like, you players look disinterested. I don't know if you've ever had that at Birmingham, where you've had a real squad that looks so much not bothered. They just stroll around and then just lift the arms in the air like, ugh.
When we got relegated 2 seasons ago, I can say that about most of the squad.
Yeah. And it's a horrible feeling, isn't it, that your team's not up for the fight and you're watching it and you're watching your team fall apart in front of your eyes. And this is what Leicester fans have seen. The club's fell apart, basically, on and off the pitch. And it's not good. But I think Birmingham will turn up in this game. I really do. I think we could be probably in a hiding to nothing, if I'm honest. If we don't turn up at all in this, the way we've turned up against Charlton and Oxford in the last few games, and against Wrexham and teams like that, we could be in for a very long afternoon. I do think in a way that who gets that first goal is significant. But when Leicester get the first goal, it's still the same thing. We look over our shoulder to think we know when we're going to concede again, or if we go behind, we crumble like that. So Birmingham fans, if they get the first goal, they're going to be well up for it, aren't they? They'll be bouncing, and that stadium will be. It will be the vibe that the away end will feel, innit? We need to get a big lad in the midfield for wingers to crosses. It's not Ayew. Exactly. Gonna miss Vestergaard. Need him to some nerves if get lip here. He's a scary man of physical. Vestergaard might be big, mate, but he can't bloody move like he's going to scare somebody. Let's be fair. Sam, let's talk about foot in both camps. So there's a few that I want to discuss with you. Obviously, talk to me about some of them. Marcus Bent is the first one. We've got DJ Campbell on there, Jamie Clapham, Steve Claridge, Leicester legend. Scored some important goals. Stephen Clements, I believe. Was Stephen Clements Birmingham captain at one point?
Yeah, he was captain, someone that Steve Bruce really trusted in the heart of the midfield, and he went on to be assistant manager with Steve Bruce at many clubs, so yeah, someone that Steve Bruce trusted for Birmingham.
Tony Cotter, another Leicester legend. Neil Dans, Curtis Davis. I know you spoke to me about Lloyd Dyer, about how that loan went, and then when he joined Burton, I believe Lloyd Dyer. He does support Blues, though, doesn't he, Lloyd Dyer?
I don't know, but he certainly didn't celebrate like he supported Blues when he scored against us for Burton.
Tell you what, Leicester legend, if we should get him in the team and celebrate against you at the weekend.
Honestly, he's one of those like bogey players that if he was playing for you on that day, he'd probably score. Demarai
Gray. Talk to me about Grace. He was non-existent last time we played you. I think he went off injured, didn't he, at one point? He just couldn't get into the game. He's obviously injured this game. He won't feature, will he? I think he's not going to be coming back till probably late February. Demarai Gray, how do you think he's settled in at Blues?
He's someone that has obviously been affected by the injury and not had the sustained run of games that he perhaps would have thought he would have had. But it's been a mixed bag, because you could see at the start of the season that he was just getting up to speed with the Championship once again after being in Saudi Arabia, because that football is obviously much slower than what the Championship is. But I feel like he hit a real good run of form when the team was performing bad. So like as a whole, we weren't playing well, but he was putting in good performances, and that's why it didn't get highlighted, because he wasn't contributing to goals and assists in winning games, and that's the games that Birmingham fans remember the most. So I feel like he's been a victim of us having a bad run of form, but putting in good performances by himself, because there's been some wonder goals that he scored. There was one that he scored against Middlesbrough in a loss that was a fantastic goal. He scored one against Watford in a game that we did win. It was a lovely finish into the top right-hand corner, and it was one of those games that was on Sky Sports, and they got every angle of the goal, and because it had been raining, that had like the raindrops fall down like on the net when he scored, so it was really like aesthetically pleasing goal. That's one that's made the Sky Sports highlights. But yeah, with Demarai Gray, he's pushing really hard to get back in the team for the Leeds FA Cup game in mid-February. Whether he makes it or not, I don't know, but I'm sure there's still plenty to come with Demarai Gray, and that he is going to come good once again in a Birmingham shirt, because we know how good he was in his first stint at Birmingham, hence why he got signed by Leicester and went on to win the Premier League.
Yeah, there we go. Demarai Gray, about Leicester fans getting in his head. I'm not surprised. He let his ego get ahead of his bloody football ability, that bloke, is how I'd sum him up at Leicester, and that's what let him down the most. Muzzy is it, class midfielder. One of the greatest midfielders I've ever seen in the Leicester City shirt. He is one of my all-time favourite Leicester City players, by the way. Muzzy is it. Jordan James obviously scored 2 against Leicester, remember? Last time we visited St Andrews on that, was it the Monday Night Football? Scored 2, didn't he? And did Leicester obviously beat you in that one? Mavididi scored, Dewsbury all scored as well. What's your thoughts on Jordan James? Obviously, he's not going to be playing you this weekend, so there'll be no return for Jordan James to St Andrews coming into this one. But what can you sort of tell on Jordan James as a Birmingham fan?
Really like Jordan James as a player, someone that was introduced to the team way before he should have, because we had an injury crisis when Lee Bowyer was manager, and when we just had injuries pretty much everywhere on the pitch, and youngsters had to step in. So then he was given his senior debut at 16 years old against Stoke in an away game. And that game, he ran the show and was excellent for us. And he was used sort of sparingly by John Eustace, perhaps in the way that he should have been used at the start, integrated in gradually. And him and Joe Bellingham were integrated at the same time. And then when Joe Bellingham got moved on to Sunderland, Jordan James got an increase in game time. And John Eustace really liked him in the second season that they had. And then John Eustace left, and then it was Wayne Rooney that came into the club. And you said earlier about that game against Leicester. I feel like that was one of those standout moments for Jordan James, where he stepped up to the plate, got 2 great goals in that game, and was used a bit further up the pitch, because before he was like a box-to-box midfielder, whereas for Rooney, he played as a number 10. And then when we went into survival mode, he was someone that was used not to his strength, but just more so for the team. And then he got moved on to Rennes, didn't he? And that's where you guys loan him out from at the moment. And JJ, someone that certainly has, longevity on his side. I feel like he's going to be a mainstay in wherever he plays, whether he goes back to Rennes and features there or comes back to English football. He's someone that has a really bright future ahead of him, and for Wales as well. He's someone that I could see getting many, many caps in the future for.
Robbie Savage, yeah, I remember that Birmingham moment where he did that in front of the Leicester fans. He's never forgiven for that, by the way. Robbie Savage, he's a bloody absolute wind-up merchant, for God's sake. He was as a player. That's the way I'd sum him up. Absolute nuisance. He'd always love to wind the fans up, and he'd always get down injured, even though he's not, to get fat players sent off and that. That's who he was, wasn't it? The pantomime villain. That's what it is. The way I'd sum up Robbie Savage.
Yeah.
Did well at Leicester. It's that love-hate relationship between Leicester and Robbie Savage.
I think it's just love-hate with Robbie Savage, full stop, because
it isn't it?
He was excellent for us in the second City derbies against Villa, because he was a wind-up merchant on the pitch, especially in those fixtures. And people know about the moment where Dion Dublin headbutted him, and he fell to the ground and knew straight away that he'd managed to get someone sent off. And he really got under their skin. And obviously for Blues fans watching that, it was excellent.
Claridge played for both. He did, like Emil Heskey, is what Colin said here. Heskey were good for Leicester. He were a tank of a striker. Young, up and coming, did wonders. To be fair, Savage is one you want on your side. He is. That's how I'd agreed. Kevin Phillips, we call him that man because he knew where the goal was. Kevin Phillips. He'd always have a stint for goal. He'd always score a few against bloody Leicester. I remember him against Leicester for Birmingham. But then he also scored goals for Leicester when he came on the back end of his career, the goal against Bournemouth. And, he's went into coaching staff for Leicester in the end. Did good at Birmingham under Alex McLeish and that, didn't he? Then you talk about Gary Rowett. Managed Birmingham, played for Birmingham. I think we signed Gary Rowett from Birmingham back in the 2000s. Yeah, 2000s, yeah, under
early 2000s it would have been, because we bought him for Cambridge for really cheap and then sold him on to Leicester for quite a big profit, and someone that was a great professional and a great deliverer of the ball as well. He's fantastic crossing.
Who else have we got? So we've discussed Robbie Savage, James Vaughan, Chris Wood,
a player that should have stayed longer at Birmingham. He was sent out on loan to us, but then recalled in January. So it was one of those ones where we brought him in at the start of the season, but was recalled way too soon. But he had a fantastic moment in a blue shirt when he scored a 100th minute winner in the Europa League against Club Brugge. And we should have got out of that group. We got 10 points in the group stage, but still somehow managed to get knocked out in the group stage. So really unfortunate for us. And I feel like it kind of summed up what it was that season, because we got knocked out Europa League group stage, 5th round replay against Chelsea, and then playoff semi-final. So a lot of big moments that came close but didn't quite get there.
Chris Wood bloody always loves a goal against Leicester. He's like bloody Harry Kane when it comes to playing against us.
I think he might have actually scored for Birmingham against Leicester in the game you mentioned, the last time we beat you at St Andrews.
FA Cup, it was FA Cup we played in. FA Cup game he'd scored in. I remember that. That Ron beat. I think when you last beat us, we're in the league. Let me have a look at his career stats here. So, played for Birmingham, went to Bristol City, played for Millwall, and then obviously was it West Brom? West Brom era, and we'd signed him.
He was at West Brom.
Bruno Ngotti. I didn't really do much for Leicester in a way. Jesse Lingard. Lingard for Leicester is a young player. It's just never evolved. It never worked at all. But he'd always come back and score against us. That's the problem. He had a poor loan spell at Leicester, but then when he grew older, he'd score against us better every time he played against us.
For Birmingham, he scored 4 goals on his debut.
It's weird, isn't it, how some players go to teams and just evolve. They do very well and they're good, but then they go to other teams and it just don't work out. So I don't know. Sam, I've gone through my team selection already. I'm going to recap it for the viewers. So I'm going to go Begovic in goal. Back for Ricardo Aluko, Ben Nelson, Jamal Lascelles, Skip and Aribo. Then I'm going to put Mavididi and Fatawa on the wings. Duane Richards up front, and I'm going to put, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go with Bobby Reid. I think he'll stick with Bobby Reid in this game, to be honest. So I'm going to go 3 out of the 4 signings for Leicester. I think McCassell will come off the bench. What about Birmingham? How do you guys line up for this one? Do you think Ducks will start up front? Obviously, you've got quite a few to pick from now, haven't you, with players coming in January as well. Obviously, Patrick Roberts is now signed a permanent role at Birmingham. What's your thoughts on your 11 ahead of Leicester?
So be largely unchanged from the Oxford game with James Beadle in goal, someone that at the start of the season didn't. I think when we played Leicester, it was all stopping goal back then. So that's somewhere where we've had a change. Beadle was very much growing into his position. Someone that still very young, played for the England under 21s, but with a really high potential. So we're looking to maximise what we can from him, getting him on loan from Brighton and hopefully getting him permanent next season and selling him on for a big chunk of money. Back four would be Iwata at right back for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Starting 2 centre-backs would be Clara and Neumann. We signed Jonathan Panzer on deadline day, but I don't think he'll go straight into the starting 11. I think he's been signed to be a squad player. Left back will be Kai Wagner. We signed him from Philadelphia Union in January. Has been really good for us so far because Cochrane's injured. 2 holding midfielders will be Paik Sung Ho, ever present with every manager that we've had since he's signed. And next to him, it's either going to be Tommy Doyle or John Solis. John Solis, we signed from Girona in January. Really big physical presence in the midfield, something that we've been missing this season. Was excellent for us against Oxford. But I feel like Doyle may start in this Leicester game because it's one that we anticipate that we're going to have a bit more possession in. Doyle is better on the ball. So I could see Chris Davis favouring Doyle for this game as opposed to Solis. Then the 3 in front of them would be left wing Osman because Gray's injured. Marvin Dutch as a centre attacking midfielder, 5 goals in his last 6 games, has really come into form and got better and better as the season's gone on. Right mid, I'd go Patrick Roberts, championship experience. We managed to sign him on a permanent on deadline day, making his loan permanent, which all the Blues fans are happy with. And up front would be Jay Stansfield.
Stansfield. He hasn't really been scoring, has he, as of late, Stansfield, I believe. I mean, I shouldn't say that quite quickly because I know what Leicester's like. He hasn't scored for a bloody long time or in games. So, chat, get your score predictions in there. We are at that point of the stream where we get the Deary score predictions in. How is this one going to go against Birmingham? Let me know in the comments. Sam, what is your thoughts, mate, with this one? How do you think this one will go against the Foxes then?
I'm excited for this game because of the January signings, because we've hit a bit of form and we are part of that chasing pack for the top 6, because at the start of January, I feel like a lot of Blues fans have given up on the top 6. We lost 3-0 to Watford at Vicarage Road and the fans were dejected, and we had that viral chant that which Tommy uploaded about the sideways and backwards everywhere we go. And the Blues fans are really pessimistic at that time, but the optimism has now come in and we've kept faith with Chris Davis, and I'm happy that we have done. And he's been backed in the January market, so I'm hoping that they can make an impact and we can keep this unbeaten run going. And I'm confident for this game. And one of your fans, I think, predicted 3-0 Birmingham, and that's what I'm going to go with as well because of what I've heard from Leicester fans. You guys are...
Is that 3-0 at half-time?
I don't think it'd be 3-0 at half-time. I think we'll go into half-time with the lead because of what you said about the fact that you haven't kept a clean sheet in 24 games. But I'm hoping that we can learn from our mistakes from the last game. And Stansfield can, score a goal because he hasn't scored a goal in a couple months. So it'd be a great time for him to break this streak and get back scoring again. So I'm going to go for 3-0 victory for Birmingham.
Interesting. A bit of a recovery. Rich, can you say that we're straight-faced, mate, at 1-1? Could be 3-0 Birmingham, likely, but optimistic 2-2 with Brum scoring an own goal and our other goal being dodgy. 2-1 Birmingham, Reid and Ducks, Osman to score. Leicester should buy this Richards lad. He's wanting to leave Chelsea for the same reason the likes of Mo Salah and De Bruyne wanted to leave. Well, we all know how good De Bruyne and Mo Salah turned out when they did leave Chelsea, by the way. Will Richards do the same at Leicester? We'll see. Score prediction for me. Jesus, I never like going against my own team. I think I'm gonna go for an optimistic 1-1. I honestly think, though, in my head, it's very much that this could be a very long afternoon again, and I don't know where we're going to get the points from, to be fair. But I'm going to go an optimistic 1-1, like I said on your stream, Sam. So yeah, I'm going to keep with the same. Guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. Sam, plug your channel for me, mate. Let everybody know where they can find you before I let you go.
Sure. So my YouTube channel is just the name there, Sam Sheppy. I do match previews, speaking to opposition fans before each game. And if you want to go and check out the video on my channel, it will be up within the next 24 hours. And I'm speaking to Jack, essentially doing what we've done in this video, but going more in depth actually about Leicester. So the fact that you guys can listen and understand what Jack is saying, you may want to leave your comments to elaborate on what he's saying, and also chat with some Blues fans about what you're thinking for the game. So yeah, my channel name is Sam Sheppy. I do match previews and also just general chat about the championship.
Sam, I'm going to ask you one last question, because we might not see each other next season. Might not, might do, don't know. Where's Blues going to finish this season? Give me your final answer on it now, in an actual position you think Blues can finish. Will it be playoffs, or is that much of a push?
I think we'll just fall short. It's not necessarily because of what I think of the team. It's too many teams between us and sixth. I feel like because of the amount of teams that are in that chasing pack, it may go right down to the wire. I could see us going to Portsmouth on the final day needing a win to get into the top 6. And it may be that we get it, but it just may be that other teams that are in there win anyway. So we miss out. So I'm predicting us to have a good finish to the season and carry on this run of form. But it may be a factor of a bit too little too late, because we really suffered away from home this season, and we've only just managed to recover that form. And I say recover, we've beat Sheffield Wednesday and Oxford, who are both in the bottom 3. So we're yet to really properly play well. I mean, I want to predict us to finish top 6. I really do. And I hope it happens. And I hope
that's where everyone had you at the start of the season. There's quite a lot of people who said Birmingham can finish in the playoffs. And this playoff scenario is the championship, isn't it? It's unpredictable. You don't know who's going to finish. I mean, Coventry City could now finish in the playoffs after being the wheels falling off, basically. So it's going to be an interesting one. For Leicester, I think we just got to keep our heads above water, to be fair, is what I'd say about us. The Leicester about us, the bloody better. But there we go. On to Saturday. Leicester City travelled to St Andrews to take on Birmingham. Thanks to Sam. All the best, mate.
Cheers, Jack. Thanks for having me on the channel.
Cheers, Sam. Match day vlog will be out Saturday as I head to St Andrews, and bloody yeah, we go again, don't we? One love and all that. Championship predictions will be back tomorrow on the channel, so come and join us for that. 6 o'clock. Me and the boys will be back for the championship predictions then. So there we go. Match preview done, and I will catch you for another stream tomorrow in the channel. Hit like on this video if you enjoy our content. Go and follow us on the socials at the Final Whistle, the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok, and all that. Subscribe. And thanks for watching. Take care and have a great rest of the evening, wherever you're up to. And keep it the Final Whistle.